The topic that we're going to present today is Protection and Control REX640 All-in-one Protection for All Distribution Networks. And it's going to be presented by Rolando Solis, or Regional Technical Manager. Our presenter today is Rolando Solis. Rolando Solis is a Regional Technical Manager for ABB Distribution Automation Products. During his time at ABB, he has led numerous protection and control projects. Rolando is an experienced technical trainer. He has been teaching protection and control courses for a wide range of technical audience across North America, South America, Europe, and Asia. The courses that Rolando has presented include protective relays, IEC 61850, auto transfer schemes, and distribution automation. Rolando holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering with a focus in power system from Florida International University, FIU Miami, and he's a licensed professional engineer in the state of Florida.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Nina, for the introduction. As Nina mentioned, today we're going to talk about the REX640 Protection and Control, ABB newest relay. And over the course of this presentation, we're going to cover some of the main features of the relay, including applications, hardware, and programming. First, we're going to start with the product description. We're going to talk a little bit about the product customer value that is offered by this new device. We talk about the application coverage of the different options that we have with the relay. Then after that, we'll talk about the different packages, moving on to the hardware and flexibility and adaptability of the relay. We will talk about the human-machine interface, HMI, and also about the protection and control solution enabling features of the device. There's some topics on secure device management, some application examples, and finally we'll look at the ordering options that we have for the relay. Talking about the description of the relay, with the REX640, it's a powerful all-in-one protection and control relay for advanced distribution and generation applications. The relay would offer an unmatched flexibility available during the compatible life cycle of the device, meaning you're going to have the flexibility of changing, upgrading, modifying hardware and software, including application packages throughout the life of your device. You're going to have the possibility of having added functionality later on in life, the same way you will do it at the time you're ordering. This is a great feature that is newly available in the REX640. You can have the device used for application as, for example, digital switchgear applications and solutions where you can have sensor inputs to the device, and we're going to comment on that a little bit later, including support for IEC 61850 sample values as well. When we talk about customer value, we can always reflect the fact that we're going to have with this device a complete application coverage. The device comes with ready-made application packages, and you're also going to have the possibility of customize depending on what a specific application you have. So it's a very open platform where you can either go with what's offered to you in the relay, or you could customize to your own needs if needed. We have a fully modular hardware and software application. The relay has modules on the hardware, and we're going to talk about this a little bit later on in the presentation, where you can easily swap, change, or upgrade the different modules to accommodate any new requirements in your specific application. The HMI as well, as fundamental part of the device, it comes with ready-made applications, but it's very open, and the user has the flexibility to have a customization for any of their specific needs as far as applications. So we'll talk about a little bit of the application coverage of the device. When it comes to the 640, it's the newest member of the ABB Reliant family, and when it comes to the application, we have a comprehensive set of base functionality, and it comes with different packages. As you can see here, we're going to go in detail a little bit more on each of these packages, but all the functionality is going to be encased in the same box. And as I mentioned before, it could be changed or upgraded depending on your needs for future expansion. Some of the packages that we have here, as you can see on the right side of the presentation, are feeder protection, transformer, machine protection, shunt capacitor protection, auto synchronizing, bus bar protection, Peterson coil control. It's got the option for our flash as well. And we'll talk about each one of these in a little bit more detail in a few moments. So how does it compare to what we have right now? Well, very common and popular rely-on product that we have today is the 615 series. And as you can see, the REX640 encompasses all the 615 series, 620 series, and 630, and it goes a little bit beyond these applications. So you do have a product that pretty much gives you a comprehensive protection and control package, going from all the way to the 630 family of relays. When it comes to the packages, you always get a base functionality with the relay that will give you overcurrent protection. You're going to have ground fault protection, restrictor ground fault. You're going to have your voltage elements available to you as well, frequency and load shedding protection. Then from there, you can jump into your power transformer protection for 2 or 3 winding transformer. Depends on your selection there. You're going to have a machine protection for synchronous and asynchronous machines. Interconnection protection is available as well as a package. Shunt capacitor, bus bar protection. You're going to have a feeder and line protection as well. And I'm kind of going a little bit brief on this one because we're going to touch on each of these later on the webinar. There's an option for an on-load tab changer control. We have a generator auto synchronizer and a network auto synchronizer as well. We mentioned the Peterson coil and the option for our flash. So let's talk about each of the packages. So the functionality is divided into 13 application packages, which are optional. And of course, you're going to have a base functionality that is always included. So there's 2 additional add-ons that could be selected as a little bit of extra elements for specifically synchronous and 3-winding transformer. Those are the 2 that could be selected. So let's talk about the base. Let's talk about the base functionality here. When you select the base relay, even if you don't have any packages in there, you're always going to get your directional and non-directional overcurrent protection. You're going to get directional and non-directional ground fault as well, restrictor earth fault. There's voltage protection, frequency, load shedding and restoration is available, and you get our flash protection, which requires, of course, that you order your sensor interface for the relay. You're always going to get all the supervision and measurement functions, control functions for circuit breaker and disconnector. Now the relay can control 3 circuit breakers. You're going to get the option to have, which is going to be on the base, it's always going to have, as a matter of fact, 14 disconnector operated control switches, 3 earthing switches, control blocks. Then on top of that, you're going to have indication for 8 additional disconnector position indication. 3 additional earthing switch position indication as well are there. So total, again, to summarize this one, 3 circuit breakers for control, 14 disconnector switches, and 3 ground switches. And you have 11 status indication as well available to you that can be configured on the HMI. Now moving on to the first package, which is the feeder protection, all right, with extension package for ground faults. So mainly on this package, you're going to get everything that we saw on the base, plus admittance-based air fault protection, multi-frequency admittance-based air fault protection, watt-metric-based air fault protection, transient and intermittent, and harmonic-based. Now a little bit on the admittance protection. So this is going to give you a selective air fault protection. You can use it as an alternative solution to traditional residual current-based fault protection functions. And it's got the advantage of being fairly easy to set up and very sensible to ground faults. It can be applied as well in high resistance grounded, ungrounded, or compensated networks. When it comes to multi-frequency admittance-based ground faults, we're going to have the possibility of having mainly for distributed, provides an enhanced ground protection performance in feeders with distributed compensation. This is specifically for feeders that have distributed compensation, and it can be applied regardless of the localization of the distributed coils that are used for the compensation. So this is a little bit more specific. In the watt-metric based faults, this is just directional method for detecting ground faults in compensating networks with the radial topology. This is the thing to keep in mind here. This one specifically is for networks with radial topology, and we do not recommend to use it in mesh systems. And we have the transient or intermittent fault, and this is mainly for situations where you have cables that have insulation failures. So this is a good way to detect using the transient or intermittent one. And then we finally have the harmonic based fault protection, which simply it's a ground protection based on the harmonic content of the ground fault. Then we have the package that we call feeder fault locator package. Simply, this package will give you a fault location both for grounded and ungrounded networks, and also in compensated networks. And it simply provides impedance-based fault location, and it is designed for radially operated distribution system mainly. It will give you an estimation of the physical location of the fault based on the parameters of the line. As long as you know your impedances and resistances and reactances, you can input the data to the relay, and it can give you an estimation of the physical location of the line faults. Then moving on to the line distance protection package. This package will give you 5 zones of protection for distance. It is important to mention here that we're going to have 5 zones of protection, and it will give you a scheme of communication logic, which you can use for step distance protection. The 5 communication schemes that are supported for this relay are the direct underreaching transfer trip, DUTT, permissive underreaching transfer trip, PUTT, permissive overreaching transfer trip, POTT, directional comparison blocking scheme, DCB, and directional comparison unblocking scheme, DCUB. This is going to be your 5 scheme communication logic that you can implement. Now, when it comes to this characteristic for the line protection that are supported, it's important to mention here that the relay has quadrilateral characteristic, Mo or circular, and something called bullet as well, which is a quadrilateral and the Mo characteristic combined. So it supports all of those forms of line distance protection. So there is also we can call a functionality called weak in feed and current reversal logic, and pretty much it's used when you require additional logic to your traditional permissive transfer trips or POTT, PUTT schemes. You can add on logic with your weak in feed or current reversal logic, and this is mainly used when you're going to have parallel feeders. When the schemes can cause some kind of false strips, you can always have support and additional security from the logic provided by the relay, by the weak in feed and current reversal logic. Then we have something called local acceleration logic, and it's a complementary function. to the distance protection mainly. It is used for those applications where no communications is available, but the user still requires a fast clearance for the faults on the entire feeder. So you can use a local acceleration logic. And then you're going to have, of course, the same schemes, but for residual current, communication schemes, and weak in feed and current reversal as well for residual over current. Now on the line differential package, we're going to have, and let me just for a second go back really quick here to our line distance. And it's good to mention here that we do have protection communication enable the possibility to transfer up to 16 additional binary signals between line ends at a maximum of 30-mile distance. This is a dedicated communication channel that the relay has, which is going to be in place as well here for the line differential, where we're going to have a phase aggregated line differential protection. We're going to have 3 configurable slopes and a high stage instantaneous trip. Can be applied as well in a line that has a transformer in the zone of protection, and the relay can account for this through settings. We again have the possibility of transferring 16 additional pieces of binary signals between line ends and at a maximum of 30 miles. This is what you would get with your line differential package. You get 5 miles if you have a galvanic link, but 30 miles with an optical link between the 2 relays. And again, the 640 has the option, like we said, of having sensors or traditional CTs for all these applications. When it comes to the shunt capacitor protection package, on this one we're going to have thermal overload protection, and this is going to be based on the peak value on the integrated current, which is going to be proportional to the voltage across the capacitor. It's going to be our thermal calculation. Then we're going to have unbalanced protection. In the unbalanced protection, we're going to have to protect double Y or H bridge capacitor connected banks. So it can also be applied for banks that are used as filter circuits. It's also another possibility there with the settings. We can define what type of capacitor bank we're protecting and take special measures into account. It's important to say here that you can use unbalanced protection here for capacitor banks that are internally fused, externally fused, or fuseless. It doesn't really matter. You can use them on all types of fusing in capacitor banks. We got something, the switching resonance protection, and it's pretty much used for detecting 3-phase resonance caused by capacitor switching or topology changes in the network. So the relay has the capability of detecting when resonance is present, and it can switch off different the capacitor banks. And of course you have to coordinate it with the power factor controllers and so forth, but you can always have this scheme constructed. As long as you have the logic in place, you can have a pretty good coverage of your capacitor banks. And as I mentioned before, the filter circuits, you can also have capacitor bank switching resonance protection for these circuits as well. So you can protect against damaging harmonics in these applications. That's going to be for your shunt capacitor bank protection package. Now moving on onto the interconnection packages. Here you're going to have your directional power protection, 32. Then you're going to have your over voltage variation protection, And this is mainly used as an application of voltage quality. So it's that's supplied by the utility, and it pretty much evaluates the power quality by calculating the average RMS in a period of time of 10 minutes. So it will know what the utility is providing. You can use it as an alarm, mainly in this case. In the case of our low voltage right through protection, pretty much this one is very similar to a 27 element, right? But in this case, it differs from the traditional three-phase under voltage because it allows the grid operators to define its own low voltage right through the curve for the generator. So they can decide where to ride through and where to disconnect the generation from the main grid. And I think I forgot to mention we're talking about here microgrids. And this is mainly the main reason why you will get the interconnection package if you're protecting some sort of microgrid. We do also offer a vector shift protection. And pretty much this one just measures continuously the duration of a voltage cycle at the instance of islanding. What would happen is that the duration of the measured voltage cycle becomes shorter or longer, and that could be detected by the relay. And that way it could give you an instantaneous trip when the shift voltage exceeds the set value that you put in your setting. So it's pretty useful for microgrid applications. And of course, you also have directional overpower protection. So we'll call it 32O, and that's also available in your interconnection package. Moving on to the machine protection package, we got the 49M, the thermal overload protection. You also get a reverse power protection. In this case, you do have a low impedance differential protection that will give you your stabilized protection with settable slopes, as well as a high stage unrestricted instantaneous differential trip. There's also the option of having a high impedance differential protection, which you have to do your externally sum CTs with your respective resistors. And there's also a flux balance differential protection. That's another option of connecting. So you do have pretty much all of the options that you could have for a differential, machine differential, when it comes to this specific package. There is your negative sequence over current protection, the loss of load protection or undercurrent protection 37, load jam protection, that's also available. You get a startup supervision, and it's just pretty much going to prevent you from starting your machine too many times, excessive startups. That's also available there. And your phase reversal, which is just prevent if you have a reverse connection in one of the phases, you will monitor the negative sequence in your machine and prevent overheating and failure with this protection. Now, we do have an additional package for this one, which is we call an add-on package for machine, which is for your synchronous machines in this case, where you can have overexcitation or volts per hertz. You get directional underpower, underimpedance protection. You're going to have underexcitation as well, stator earth fault protection with third harmonic based, which is going to give you, it's able to detect the stator earth fault at the neutral point at least 15 to 20% from the point, from the neutral point along the stator winding. So you're going to get 15-20% from the neutral point into the winding. Then you got the rotor earth fault protection, just injection based, and the pulse slip protection 78 out of step protection will cover the pulse slip. You can have this one as well in this package. Now moving on to a transformer. When it comes to the transformer, you're going to have low impedance differential protection as well with 3 settable slopes, and a high stage instantaneous differential trip. You're going to have a restricted airflow protection. You're going to have volts per hertz, protection number 24. Thermal overload protection is going to be available, directional overpower, underpower, and under impedance protection as well. That's for your transformer, and it's important to mention you will get, if you only get the transformer package, you will get the 2-winding transformer package protection. You do need an add-on, which is for your 3-winding, and it's going to be exactly the same, but you will get the option of having 3 windings, respective settings for each of the windings, connection groups, vector groups, and you're going to have the same 3 settable slopes for tripping of the differential. Post-bar protection package. It's important to mention it is a high impedance differential protection. The relay does not have a low impedance. The only low impedance we have is a transformer 3-winding, which it could be used. We have a bus that has 3 terminals. You could use it that way as a low impedance. But for a regular bus, we do have to use a high impedance differential protection, and we do have the option of zone A, zone B, plus a check zone, which will give you more security in your trip logic if you want to go this route as well. You also have current circuit supervision for all the zones included in the relay. This is more of a control function of the relay. We do have a online tap changer, on-load, I'm sorry, tap changer, excuse me, and also comes with an automatic voltage regulator. Now you do have the option of paralleling up to 6 transformers, and there is actually, well, there's 2 here, but there's 3 schemes that you can have. There's a master follower scheme, which you need to have 2 identical transformers as far as impedance and a number of taps and tap steps as well. Now the master follower scheme does require to have goose communication between the transformers that are being parallel, between the controllers for the transformers. So you do need communication via goose for this specific scheme. Then you're going to have the minimizing circulating current, and this one could be used for transformers that are not exactly the same, that are that different in impedance and number of taps. Now in this one you also need communication between the transformers. You're going to need to have boost communication between the controllers so you can implement the minimizing circulating current scheme. And there's a 3rd one here, which is called the negative reactance principle. Similar to the minimizing circulating current, transformers do not have to be the same as far as impedance and number of taps, and this one does not require communications. So it's a little bit more, little bit less ideal, since you don't have information on the other tap. It's just purely based on current measurement. But that's the option as well. If you don't have communication, you could have paralleling options as well here. And this is for your on-load tap changer control package. So moving on to the generator as well, generator application, auto synchronizer package. On this one, you do have a synchronized closing of a generator. This is included in this package. There is an inbuilt synchro check functionality. You do have the option of having this auto synchronizer in automatic, semi-automatic, or manual operations. You can do control from SCADA as well, or DCS. And if you do have everything manual, you can use your local HMI as your interface for start of synchronizing process. You can select the operation mode as well. There is something very interesting, which is the relay will show you a synchroscope in your HMI, and you can see the synchronization, you can visualize the synchronization process real time there through the synchroscope. There's a double voltage and frequency meters that will show you the parameters of each side of the generator and balls that you're trying to synchronize. And you're going to have control points for generator and voltage frequency. And through your HMI, you could also issue, of course, your manual close or open as well, if you are in one of these two modes where you choose to close yourself based on the synchroscope information. Then there's a network auto synchronizer package, and this one will synchronize closing of non-generator circuit breakers or non-source circuit breakers, and it will give you the option of having up to 8 generator circuit breakers and 17 non-generator circuit breakers. This function as well supports the manual, semi-automatic, and automatic synchronizing. So pretty much in this one, it is important to point that the prerequisite is that all the feeders in the system that you want to implement this auto synchronizer logic, they need to be equipped with REX640 relays. It has to be this way so the relay can work with the other controllers as well, with the other 640 devices as well. And important also to mention here that the information exchange between the 640s for this application is going to be either mainly 61850. It could be binary and analog as well, depending on how you implement your scheme. But you do need communication through Goose using IC 61850. So that's one thing that's important to mention if you want to implement this type of system. And finally here, it's a Peterson coil control package that's available as well. And this one will be using compensated networks that have, of course, its coil, and you're able to control it. So pretty much you can issue control of an additional fixed coil. If you wish, the relay can also switch on or off the resistor if you have that capability. The parallel resistance used in this coil. So this is merely a control function. It's available there. Through the local HMI, you're also able to see the V curve for the current. So you're able to see that as well locally on the relay. This is all the packages that we have. We just went a little bit brief over them. There's a lot of material in them, much more. I mean, each one of them could be a webinar by itself, just to give you an idea of what you can get when it comes to applications of the REX640. So moving on to the product itself, we're going to talk about the hardware flexibility and adaptability. So pretty much the 640, what does it offer? Well, a customer can have a license where you can have your original purchase packages, but you could do modifications anytime during the life cycle of the relay, which would allow you to either expand or change the hardware, change some application from CTs to current sensors. So this is very, very flexible, and it will give you the possibility of having a completely different relay from whatever you order at the beginning, anytime during the life cycle of the product. So the modules on the relay are the draw type, and you can simply just remove the cards, replace, and change for the ones that you want to go. If any of the packages that you have, for example, require a new hardware, you can easily do it on site with instruction from ABB and, of course, the proper procedures. You also have the option of having conformal coding, which is available on this relay as well if you order at the time of purchase. Some of the main things on the hardware, we have up to 20 measurement channels available for current and voltages. We have subscription for up to 4 streams of IC 61850. So we mentioned also that you have the option of having traditional current and voltage transformer, or you can have current and voltage sensors available on the relay, or you can have a combination of those as well and do the same that you would do with traditional CTs and PTs. So you have 1 or 2 RTD option cards. Each of them have 10 RTDs and 2 milliamp inputs there, and outputs as well. So you got milliamp channels for both inputs and outputs. You got threshold settable outputs. The bio cards have the option for having high-speed outputs as an option there. If you have an application that requires high-speed tripping, you can have this option loaded on the relay as well. And you got 4 pieces of our flash sensor inputs, which could be either lens sensors or it could be loop types, all supervised type of sensors. This is new on this relay. Previously, some of the Reliant series with sensor option were just point sensors. On this relay, you do have the option of having a loop type of fiber connected to the relay. And as far as power supply, you do have the option for AC or DC. Moving on to the HMI, human machine interface. So on this one, we're going to have a very nice 7-inch screen, touch screen HMI on the relay. So you're able to do control and monitoring from the HMI. We're going to give you ready-made applications based on pages that are preloaded on the base configuration of the relays. Depending on the package that you have ordered, you will get the respective HMI typical configuration. So the screen itself, it's detached from the relay, connected through an RJ45 type of cable. It's IP54 for rating. So we're gonna talk a little bit more in detail about the HMI here. Like I said, it's a 7-inch, 100 by 480 resolution TFT touch screen. It's got an industrial hardened design with the IP54 classification, and it complies with the class 2 for vibration, shock, and bump. Mounting options are available when you order the relay, so they can be mounted in a wide range of arrangements. Since you have since the HMI is detached from the relay, but you can have it mounted different ways. There's a USB available as well on the front of the relay, where you can read data from the relay. There is also 2 RJ45 connection for PCM600, which is a program used for the relay itself. And you have an auxiliary power module that covers the same range as the relay, since the HMI requires its own power supply because it is detached from the main box. So you're going to have specific pages for different needs during the relay lifetime. You can configure, like I said, we're going to provide some pages, but you could configure additional pages, and that's depends on your specific application. You got a wide range of ANSI and IC symbols. You got push buttons that could be configured in the front of the HMI, which could serve as you can see, there's no physical push buttons on the relay, but you could virtually program push buttons and have a screen where you can display them and use them for different control functions or logic functions by that matter. Blocking or protection, different shortcuts can be implemented as well in the HMI. Okay, when it comes to protection and control solution enabling features, we talked about the R-Flash. It's important to mention here, we got the 4 pieces of R-Flash. This is optional when you order the relay, and you got a mixture of loop or sensors. Now, the free allocation of sensor types is going to give you a cost-efficient protection scheme. Now, it is important to mention that is still the relay does analog to digital conversion, so you will still lose a little bit of speed there, but nonetheless, you're still using the high-speed outputs. You will get a fast response for our flash schemes there. When it comes to communications, the relay is equipped, if ordered with a specific option. You can have high-speed HSR ring or parallel redundancy as well with PRP. And we also have IEEE 1588 time synchronization, which is going to be needed if you're implementing some type of sample value or IEC61850 process bus. So the optical galvanic interlink port, where you can have a remote input-output, or you can connect to the different engineering tools. You got the option of having a double IP address for configuring a second network, horizontal and vertical communication. So if you don't have serial, you could do this one as well. It's just a matter of how you arrange your different interfaces in the port itself. And if you have the serial, you can have the option for IREG-B time synchronization. And you can have serial, optical or galvanic Ethernet for HSR or PRP. So protection, communication for protection specifically, we offer a dedicated optical point-to-point communication between line ends, specifically for the line differential protection. So we'll give you measured current values per phase. You can send inter-trip signals, and you have, as we mentioned before, 16 binary signals that you can share between the two line ends through this dedicated communication channel. For the line distance protection as well, you still get your same 16 configurable binary signals, or you can use your different transfer trip schemes depending on your specific application. And if you have directional airfoil protection, you can also have binary signals available to you from relay to relay as well. And we keep the same situation here where the communication distances are up to 50 kilometers possible with full supervision of the channel of communication, so you can detect the loss of the link between devices. So when it comes to IEC 61850 GUs and sample measure values, you can have full support for both binary and analog data. The relay is going to give you the possibility of having the streams that we mentioned before, 4 full streams, current and voltage sample values. And you can have automatic switching between streams. So you can have a main and a backup measurement as well. If you're using specifically for protection, this is going to be important. Here on the right side, you can see a view of the HMI, and pretty much, I don't think we show it on the screen here, but the way this will work, you will have a single line diagram, and if you want to operate or see anything regarding that specific element, you will just touch it, and the relay will pop up, either close or open. If it's a synchronizer, you can start, like in this case, manual mode or automatic mode. It will give you information on each of the elements, and everything is going to be based on your single line diagram there. So when it comes to measurements, we're going to have directly connected measurements, which you can have, of course, in the hardware and the terminal block of the relay. You can have conventional instrument transformers, non-conventional instrument transformers. So you could have current and voltage sensors, relay internally calculated values, RTD-based temperature measurement, as well as if you have the option for the machine package, or milliamp-based process measurements. All this can be interpreted in the logic internally by the relay. Analog GUs is there, as well as sample values. The channels are open to you to configuration, and you can do all your work of configuring measurements through PCM 600. When it comes to the auto-synchronization, auto-synchronizing both generator and non-generator connected circuit breakers, we saw a little bit of that on the package for auto-synchronizer. We have to remember 2 packages, one for generators and one for network breakers. So the 640 contains non-protection relay functionality to make solution possible. You can use it as a control box as well. And you can have multiple, actually in this scheme, you need to have multiple REX640. The system has to be comprised of 640 relays completely, so you can implement a successful auto-synchronizing scheme of remember 8 generators and up to 8 generators, 17 non-generator breakers. And as far as you having a dedicated panel for synchronization, each of the relays will have the information that you need with the synchro scope and all the information as far as the synchronization. So you can do it locally on the relay, or you could do it in the web browser as well, which will show you the same information you're looking at in the local HMI. Cybersecurity. In this part, well, the 640 relay was hardened with software configuration, allowing only necessary service and processes. It's got an intelligent network load monitoring, including denial of service protection, supervised services, protocol, and communication ports all the time. You also going to get role-based access for individual users, where you can have different levels of access, and also the relay will give you a log of each of the access and people that logged into it to do any change. Everything will be logged on the relay in the sequence of events. We're going to have a secure web browser, encrypted communication between engineering tool and the relay, which is the PCM 600, and you're going to have your audit trail, as I mentioned before, for everything security-related events. So firmware updates are going to be sent to you through ABB when required, and all this will be contributing to making the relay safer when it comes to cybersecurity. So you're going to have, when it comes to the system, centralized management of individual user accounts. You can do this with the PCM 600. You can have a centralized view of security events only, independent of protection, and cybersecurity certificate management with public key infrastructure. So here's some of the suggested application examples. And pretty much here we have for retrofit applications, I mean, you can pretty much match anything that you have as far as I/O or analog channels and protection. It would be difficult to find something that's not met by the REX640 protection and control capability. For double bus bar applications, you can have hardware flexibility, which you could develop schemes based on Goose or high impedance protection, as I mentioned before. If you have digital switchgear, you can have the sensor technology available to you. You can have the PTP, Precision Time Protocol, IEEE 1580A, and IRIC-B, as well as the PRP and HSR communication as well. Things that are non-relay application related, more control applications, you're going to have your auto synchronization for generator breakers, non-generator as well, tie breakers can be applied here. Your Peterson coil controller and your ARC functions as well. So when it comes to device ordering, and modification, pretty much you're going to have initial relay that you order, and because it's a modular design, you can always have additional either software protection packages or hardware if needed by your new application. You can always go into the ABB product selection tool and see how the relay would look like, how would we get configured as far as space on your back plate. That's available there for you. Even after you have ordered, you have your relay with you. So pretty much you will get something when it comes to software. You can have your additional package or an add-on if needed. You can change your communication protocol. You can add a new language. And if required, you can add a new I/O card. Or if you have a package that requires an extra analog, if you had the 2-winding, now you want a 3-winding package, you might need an extra set of current. So you will be required to have the software and the hardware as well. So spare parts for the relay, LHMI, you can replace it without software tools. The relay itself contains a backup of the LHMI software and configuration. And of course, you can have that as well in your PCM600. So it'll be a matter of replacing the HMI and downloading configuration, which could be downloaded only to the HMI, or you can download to the whole system, relay plus HMI. But you can have the HMI loaded by itself with its configuration. That way, you don't have to touch your original relay configuration. If you have a faulty car, you can replace with a similar one. No need for software tools. You just gotta follow the procedure for the exchange and plug in your new card or module or communication module or anything that's on the back of the relay. Everything is modular and it can be replaced.
Introducing the new REX640 from ABB, all-in-one protection for your power distribution needs. The REX640's innovative modular design and groundbreaking functionality makes protecting all your advanced power generation and distribution assets easier than ever before. The REX640 includes all the functionalities and features of current devices, but also enables additional functionality such as automatic synchronization, Peterson coil control, and arc fault protection. Thanks to the modularity and scalability of the REX640, you can choose the perfect software and hardware modules to create a unique relay that meets the specific protection requirements of your network. Choosing from our new, ready-made application packages makes ordering your relay quick and easy. The local HMI's novel application-driven approach allows support for entirely new applications. The unique touchscreen visualizes power distribution process information in a completely new way, increasing situational awareness and maximizing usability. The REX640 is designed to support the increasing digitalization of substations. When ordering, appropriate hardware and software functionality is chosen to fulfill the current network requirements. During installation, functionality can be further adjusted to ensure it meets your specific requirements. In the event of network expansion or other changes in protection requirements, the relay's hardware and software can be modified or even upgraded, providing lifelong reliability and compatibility. Additional functionality is then added to the relay by purchasing new software licenses and any necessary hardware components. Your system management team can even perform these modifications on-site. Within the local HMI, ready-made application-based pages minimize the need for graphical engineering, which saves both time and effort. The local HMI pages can either be removed, added, or customized according to your requirements. ABB is giving protection and control a new face. With its unrivaled flexibility and easy adaptation to changing protection requirements throughout the relay lifecycle, the REX640 makes protecting all your advanced power generation and distribution assets more effective than ever.
With this video, we summarize our product presentation.
So in addition to the video that you just saw, there's another video that teaches you how to use the basics of the LHMI. So I will invite you to watch that video as well. I will be providing those links in a follow-up email together with the presentation of this product. Now we can take the question. So the first question that we have is for the full location functionality, assuming I have a cable feeder with 3 to 4 different cable cross-section with several KMS, what is the limit number of cross-section that can be configured in the relay?
Yeah, in this case, the fault locator has to be applied for homogeneous cable. You won't be able to if you have different cross sections throughout the feeder, this specific element would not be suitable for this application.
Can this be used for retrofit applications? Are we able to support with engineering drawings for conversion?
Yes, it can be used for retrofit applications, and our solutions group in Lake Mary can provide additional engineering and anything that's needed for the specific retrofit project in question.
Is the Synchronous machine add-on itself an upgrade to the machine protection package, a software unlock only, or are additional hardware modules also included? Or do specific hardware modules become prerequisites for using that software package?
Yeah, the Synchronous add-on would be just a software package. It'll just give you the possibility of having the extra elements that you would use for your generator or synchronous machine.
On slide 43, you mentioned being able to protect multiple units with one REX640. Can you expand on this? Multiple generators, for example.
Yes, you have, for example, you have the control for up to three breakers, and you can look at it in the way that you can have three relays inside this box. So meaning that you can have the element for different things as long as you have your dedicated analog or current, for example, current and voltage for each of the machines that you're protecting. You can have the different elements configured for each of the machines. For example, you have three elements for sync check that you can have. You can have three overcurrent elements. You can have three voltage individual elements, each for each one of those machines. But it could be up to three.
Well, we don't have more questions for today, so we're going to rapidly let you know about the next training available. So today we did an extra webinar to present to you and to let you know about the key features, benefits, and application of the REX640. And then our next webinar is going to be Protection on Digital Secure Solution, and it's going to be presented on June 13th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time as usual. It's going to be presented by Vince and John. I will be sending the link to register in the follow email. As well, in the follow email, you're going to find this presentation, a link to the video that you saw, and another link for the LHMI video, as well as links to the product guides and flyers. So if you have any additional technical question, or if you have questions about our trainings, please feel free to contact me. The contact information for Orlando Solis is here. He is, again, our Regional Technical Manager in Distribution Automation and one of our instructors. His email is orlando.solis@us.abb.com. So if you have any technical question, again, regarding to this topic presented today, please feel free to email him. And this is my contact information. I'm Ninoska Tipet, Senior Marketing Specialist of Distribution Automation. Ninoska.tipet@us.abb.com is my email if you have any questions regarding to training, collateral, or any general information question. Please do not hesitate in contacting me. And this is all for today. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Rolando.
Thank you, everyone, for your time. And again, if you have any questions, just let me know, and I'll be happy to talk to you, or email me any of your concerns if you have any technical inquiries as well.
Thank you.